Dental services in Ireland have been collapsing for years. There's absolutely no excuse for the complete neglect of the sector when they've been crying out for reform and regulation for decades. When dental services are completely out of reach for so many people, getting preventative care, getting regular checkups, and minor dental services only available to people who can afford it. There are so many failures in the current system, but one of the most glaring is the abandonment of the school screening programme. Every child in this state should have free checkups in 2nd, 4th and 6th class with HSE dentists. That isn't a recommendation, it's a statutory requirement. I received those services in primary school, as did everyone I grew up with, but the scheme has been allowed to crumble to pieces. The number of HSE dentists has dropped by nearly a quarter since 2006. Is it any wonder that the waiting lists are out of control, that children aren't receiving the care that they need? Only half of all eligible children were seen by a school dentist last year, and in some rural areas those figures were much higher. Almost 80% of children in Laois Offaly were denied a school screening last year. Some parts of the country have a backlog of up to 10 years where children aren't receiving their first screening until they're in transition year. We need to acknowledge the consequences of these failures. Children who needed preventative care, who needed simple checkups, are now living in agony, and some of them can't even get a public appointment to have a tooth extracted. The wait time for surgery in Cork University Dental School and Hospital is 2 years and 6 months. There's a particular type of pain that comes along with dental issues. We've all experienced it at some point. And the idea that there are children and adults around the country living with that pain for months and years at a time because they can't get basic dental care should be a source of shame for this government. I genuinely can't understand the sheer lack of interest the Minister and the Department of Health seem to have for improving dental services. The Minister hasn't even turned up to this debate. What little has been done is nothing short of insulting. €5 million announced in the budget to address the backlog in school screening, but the funds can't be used to actually hire more public dentists. How exactly does this government intend on fixing the backlog without hiring more dentists? Further outsourcing to the private sector? Because that isn't working too well for medical card patients under the Dental Treatment Services scheme. There are currently only around 600 private dentists working under the public scheme, and some counties don't have a single one. And to make the whole situation even worse, for 40 years now, successive governments have just decided not to bother regulating the entire dental profession. The Dental Council has been pleading with ministers for years now for the powers to regulate the conduct and activities of dentists, to be able to inspect practices, to mandate continual professional development. RT Investigates reports have shown exactly how dangerous that lack of regulation is. 37 dentists who've been sanctioned by regulators abroad are practising in Ireland, one of which has been convicted of sexual assault and is currently undergoing another criminal investigation. There were serious infection control issues raised, including a dentist working from a porta-cabin, unsterilised instruments and reports of dentists leaving bloodied, extracted teeth on a radiator. There have been repeated instances of people who seem to be just pretending to be dentists, causing damage to people's health and forging the signature of actual registered dentists on the forms. And the clinics these people were based in are apparently still operating because no one has the power to stop them. The Department of Health has been dragging their feet for too long, and it's time that the Minister commits to actually reforming the dental profession. We need basic regulation to ensure the patient safety, because people have been left completely vulnerable to fraud and malpractice. We need so many more public dentists, which means more college places and reform of the Dental Treatment Services scheme. And we need to ensure that every child in this state, no matter where they live, is receiving the dental care that they're entitled to. Ciarán, I asked the Taoiseach yesterday if he'd be supporting the Social Democrats' motion today. He said that the government would, but I have to say that I think it's pretty disingenuous to support it and then do absolutely nothing about it. So in your reply, Minister, if you could outline what immediate, medium and long-term measures will be taken to address this issue, that would be very helpful.
Deputy Jennifer.